Hello and welcome to Women Achievers. This is the program that profiles young women, older women, and everyone in between. It's meant to be an inspiration for young girls to know that there is a process and there is growth, and then you become a boss lady. We can't all be in the microwave generation. And I have the pleasure to present to you today a very young, pleasant, ebony black woman, an entrepreneur, a gender advocate, and the convener of Nigeria We Are. Please welcome Honorable Zainab Buba Galadima. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us about your growing up as a young girl in Nigeria.
Well, I was born in Maiduguri.
Thank you.
And I went to Maiduguri International Primary School. From then I moved to Federal Government Girls College Bakuri in Katsina State. But while I was in Maiduguri, I was one of 5 children, 5 boys. The fifth one, 5 boys, 5 boys.
So you were the only girl.
The only girl. So I was more of a boy.
Of a tomboy.
Yes, I was the area
Mama.
I was always in shorts, and with my boys.
Even in the north, you can wear shorts.
Yeah, I was riding bicycle all around. Yes, we lived in the GRA, so it was a bit, it was a bit relaxed.
Okay.
And whenever I was growing up, whenever my father buys like maybe toy guns for my brothers, he always bought me one and a doll as well. So I had both.
So you have an option.
Yes, I had an option, and it was very very nice. We lived in a serene environment. That Maiduguri was so peaceful. On Saturdays there was sanitation, and the government inspects your house. So we had a very big compound, about 2 hectares, and we would clean the house, and a lot of people would come. And they were like, oh, okay, today you want the price, and that was how it was.
Oh, he was a civil servant back then.
My father? No, he was in politics. He started politics since NPM, but he was a town engineer before then in Maiduguri, so he shared the plots in Maiduguri, and and he was a businessman. He was exporting, gum arabic and a lot of things. So it was quite pleasant growing up.
Tell us about your father. He's a very controversial man. How did you grow up in such a household?
It was, people see him from outside and think that probably he is maybe too hard. He is not really. As long as you don't overstep your boundaries, he respects people's opinions. So everybody had an opinion in the house, and you were allowed to be who you want to be. And he was very, very keen on good education. So my brothers and I all went to very good schools, private schools, but I went to a federal school, and some of them also went to a federal school. So education was very, very important. We were comfortable, but we always had at the back of our minds that it can go either way. We weren't spoiled kids like that. We had everything, but we didn't take it for granted. That there was that sense of humility, within the.
He kept you guys grounded.
Yes, and my mother was the boss of the house.
Oh, really?
Because he was always
disciplinarian.
Oh yeah, he was always traveling. So my mom is very disciplined and very religious. So she always and she had a.
She had a tough time.
Oh yeah, she did. Because my brothers were not too easy to.
I can imagine. I'll whip you into line, most likely. But you're not all replicas of the man, are you? Stubborn,
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh my God.
We are.
All of you.
We are, but and I think.
I can imagine a house full of Buba Galadimas.
Yeah.
Tell us about your working experience.
When I came back from the UK, I studied in the UK. I spent 12 years in the UK. So when I came back, I served in National Assembly. So it was quite okay. But when I came, it was a bit of, people saw me as, somebody different. Because I came with that mentality. When I came, I was always in suit, or, I was always talking and very smart looking, and I worked with the northern member from Kaduna, Honorable Usman Bawa, and it was very different. And then I was like, oh, okay, I think I can actually do this. I think I can actually maybe go into politics, and partisan politics and run for office. But initially, I was always involved in campaigns of General Muhammadu Buhari at that time since 2002. I was always coming from England to work, and sometimes I get fired, when I come and overstay. So when I go back to work, they don't need me anymore.
Okay, you overstayed. Wow.
Yes, and so that was how it was. So in 2012, I served. So along that line, I decided to join grassroots politics, where I ran for office as a councillor.
Okay.
And a lot of people thought that, oh, okay, this office is a bit too, low, considering your background, considering your educational background and probably maybe status and stuff. But from the way I see it, it's all about service.
Yes.
It's not about what you want to be or how people see you. I didn't see it as that. So I ran for office, and I beat about 6 men, and I won to be the councillor under the Congress for Progressive Change, which is CPC. I was the only CPC councillor at that time. There were 11 councillors in Amak, and the chairman and vice chairman were PDP. So it was a bit tough for me, because there are some things that they were doing within the council that I wasn't even allowed to know. So it was a bit of an issue for me. I tried to pass a few bills, but it has to go through first, second, and third reading and all those things, and we're not very stable, or we're not very consistent in the sitting arrangements, and we did what we had to do. And then came 2015 elections. By then, in 2014, during the merger negotiations, when the merger came in, I was the leader of APC in Amak, because I was the only office holder. Yes, so that's very special to me. I like to, I'm very proud about that. So we came, and I got to meet the vice president, Professor Yemi Oshibaju, and we went around for campaigns, went through all the local governments around, and I drove myself, I was always, up and about, going for campaigns and stuff. So sometimes we sit down with him to be able to discuss issues and what my visions are, what I've done before, and what I feel like I should, go on. And we spoke about women empowerment, and and he was like, he really wants to work with me if eventually they win. So finally they won, and I was invited to come and work with him. But then I was a councillor, so I asked him, I wanted to resign, so that I can take up that role. But he was like, no, I should finish it up. But I was still, doing my, giving in what I could, to the administration. And there was this particular proposal I gave to him, which they named it Trader Money.
Okay.
Yes, and
wow, so you were behind Trader Money?
Yes, they just added a few things, and the name and stuff, but that was what we discussed. And so when I came back after my office, finally, I was given a letter. Then I was put under domestic and sexual violence. So we did a few things, opened up process, like we facilitated a lot of SAC centers, which is sexual assault response centers, for people in about 8 states. And it was quite fulfilling.
So you were working with the Ministry of Women Affairs? Or?
Ministry of Women Affairs, Ministry of Justice, Ministry of Health. When somebody is abused, they have to go to hospital, they have to report the case, and then when it comes to women and children and girls, obviously, it's a woman thing, so that, and a few, people, and that's that. So in 2019, after the elections, I left. Yes.
So what are you doing now since 2019?
Well, I've been on my own. I've decided I wasn't going to run for office for now, because I've got my hands full and I've got little kids, so I want to be there for them. Because when you're in politics and when you're going to be a full-time politician, an active politician, you really need to be mentally ready. that's my own, mentally ready. But I wasn't. I'm not mentally ready to deal with all the drama and after all that I've been through.
After all the insults.
Yeah, after all that I've been through, I like to be in the background and strategy and stuff. That's okay for me for now. So what I've done is I registered an NGO called Hush Not Speak Out. So we're working on 3 projects.
Let's talk about your exit from the villa. Seems to be there was a little drama. Your father was stoking the fireworks against the president and the cabal. Did you exit at that time or you worked for some time?
Well, first of all, the tenure expired.
Okay.
And there was a new election. But I knew I probably wouldn't come back because of what happened. I had a very good relationship with the president and the vice president, but the people around, tried to make...
Comfortable with you?
Yes, they were uncomfortable with me. And, some see you as a threat, some envy you, a lot of things. And it was getting too uncomfortable for me and for other people. It was quite stressful. And every day was a struggle for me. I went through, mental torture and, emotional distress, to say the least. So, and for my sanity and for the sake of peace, within me, I felt like, okay, I think this is a wrap for me, and that was it.
Because a lot of us thought that it was a plot from the presidency that you were retained in spite of your father giving so much trouble, to give the administration a positive look, that in spite of your father's angst against the government, that his daughter was still working with Mr. President.
What people fail to understand is there's opposition. The opposition thrives when there's good democracy. And here in Nigeria, we find opposition to be like an insult or something like that. He is a man that likes to say anything. He likes to talk about things that he sees wrong. He likes
whether you're his friend or not.
Whether it doesn't matter who you are. Even if I was the president, I don't think I would have it any different. But people see it as probably because of their history, he was angry at some things, No matter what the personal things, are between them, he's his own person. And that's who he has always been from day one, from university and stuff like that. So I really didn't see any big deal, But to people, they were like, okay, why will this guy be talking and then his daughter is still here? It was an issue for them. But I went there on merit, based on my own contributions, not because of my father. But if as an individual I'm over 18, I have the right to be anywhere I want to be. The Constitution gives me the right of association of anything, my human rights, whatever. But they felt like, oh, okay, some people when they are close to power, in the corridors of power, they feel like it belongs to them. And it doesn't. Power is transient. Where are we now? We have less than a year. It's going to be over. There are people that have been there and never thought that they had so much power and they never thought this would be over. But it's over, And that is life. Yes. And that is what they fail to understand. And we will meet sometime and, what would their reaction be? And they don't even know who I am going to be in the future. And I felt like, in the beginning it was a bit hard for me, when
a lot of turmoil, emotional stress.
It was so stressful. But my father sat me down. In the beginning, as if he saw it coming, he sat me down before inauguration and he said to me, Zainab, it is not by your intelligence, it is not by your contribution, it is not by your status, it is not by anything, but it is by your luck and your time that you get to be who you are going to be. So if you do not get anything that you wish to be now, it's not your time, so don't bother. And if these people, there were issues about salary and stuff like that. Yes, I was not paid, I wasn't under any allowance or anything. But because of what...
For the duration of the period that you worked there?
Or, and it wasn't my father, because of what my father told me, I took it in good faith. And I was like, okay, no problem. Because I really, really meant to serve. It it was about service for me. And I got a very nice letter from the Vice President, commendation letter, and nobody can buy that with money, you know. So, and I don't regret it because it made me who I am today. It made me stronger. It made me more determined, more persistent, and and relentless in my pursuit of anything that comes ahead.
Okay, so let us know about your pursuit since 2019 and your transformation to boss lady.
Yeah, well, from that duration of time, from 2019 to now, 2022, I went through a very rough period, personally. So it made me reevaluate myself, and I went through, a very, challenging time. So it gave me some time to reflect, meditate, about what I want my life to be, and I was also always watching motivational, stories and, testimonies and stuff, and then with faith, and then with the people around, with a very strong, support system, it helped me get through, what I was going through, and I found my voice through poetry. So I'm writing a book on poetry. And then I looked at the issues that we had in Nigeria. Number one, the insecurity, the lack of disunity among Nigerians, and the menace in the society and all those things. So I decided to engage in some projects. Number one was the Nigeria We Are project, which brings about Nigerians, exchange programs, north and south, where people that have never traveled, we can invite them, keep them in a particular house, a foster house, so they can see the culture and the way the northerners live, and then we can also, send a particular northerner to, this is what I wanted to do. And then there's another one, my friends and I, a lot of them want to join. It is a mentorship program, because we lack that, in our system. We do not have mentorship. So it takes a village. Okay. So It Takes a Village is a mentorship program where women, engage young people, put them, sometimes people just need somebody to talk to. Sometimes you need a guide, so we wanted to provide that platform for people, to thrive and be able to be who they want to be. And through that, I think we can help the society. Because when we were growing up and, the people before us, there was this neighborhood communal thing that we had, where your neighbor can scold your child and you won't feel anything. But now, even a teacher cannot correct your child. You go to the school and insult the teacher, and that is not right. That is why we find ourselves where we are today, and it's very challenging. And then about 6 months ago, I traveled to America, and then one day I was just sitting down and I said to myself, okay, I have a name, and I actually have something upstairs that I feel like, I can transfer to, people. And I decided to start creating short videos, on solutions to, some of the problems we face. For example, on elections, you need to make people understand that it is not about voting. It's not, you have to look at the candidate, you have to look at a lot of things. Or, for example, I do a lot of community engagement, encouraging women to join politics, because there are a lot of women that are being left behind. There are a lot of women that I feel that have so many things to offer, but they're not given that chance. But we find that you decide as a young person you want to run for office, and then you just wake up, register with a political party, and you just run. No. Politics takes a process. You have to build your structures. It takes a longer period. Not every person is lucky like I was, that you just wake up and you just join a political party and then you win elections. It doesn't work that way. It is gradual. So unless we have young people of like minds to join politics, engage in the processes that select these delegates or whatever, that choose these leaders that represent us, we will never get there. And people fail to understand that. They think that their voter's card is everything they've got. Your voter's card means nothing. Because at the end of the day, it is out of this evil ones, or the ones that got to make the cut by highest bidding, that get to be there on the ballot. And then when you check them, they really do not have substance. So we end up with people that cannot even defend us, that cannot protect us, our properties, our lives. They can't do anything. They can't bring any positive, they can't bring positive policies to Nigerians. So we need to start from the source, not get there in the middle or at the end of the road and say, oh, okay, we join and we demand for this. You can't just wake up and say, I'm an activist. It takes a process. And the system is already messed up. Until we engage and be part of that system, we can never see that change that we want to. So I want to be providing short solutions, to small problems that we have. Before you know it, it will go a long way. Okay?
So as a gender advocate, what advice would you give to young women who are facing challenges of domestic violence, sexual harassment?
Always speak up. If there are ways that you can prevent it, sometimes you notice some patterns from the abuser, you can cut it off. For example, now if your husband all of a sudden he starts screaming at you, throwing things at you, you should know that eventually he will slap you. After that slap, you say, oh, okay, it was a mistake. Then comes beating, then comes injury, and then comes death, in some cases. So always speak up, or when you notice that red flag, always,
give space.
Disembark and, get people to support you, and, because it's really, it's getting bad. And with this COVID period, a lot of people have realized that they were in abusive marriages. A lot of marriages crashed, and it wasn't very good at all. But than to stay in an abusive marriage, it's better to, take the road, I feel.
So what about young girls who are out there and they want to be like you? What advice would you give them?
First of all, you have to have some self-worth. It is very, very important as a woman you know your worth, because many times we're left behind because we do not even know what our value is. Once you know that, and then you go to school, you always, if you have any issues, you always find somebody to talk to that can guide you. Nobody is above it all. Nobody knows it all.
We all need mentors.
Yes, and even me now, I can see a younger person who can be my mentor. There's some things that she's doing right, and I feel like, okay, please, can you put me through? Never be too big to ask. It is very, very, it's very important that we do that. So young girls, keep your self-worth. When you feel like you are worth more than anything, there's so many things you wouldn't do. You would not expose yourself. There's so many girls standing on the street. They do not know their worth. A woman is worth a lot more than people see, And once you know that about yourself, you can go anywhere. And determination, vision, persistence, so many, qualities that you need to imbibe to be able to guide you in your future.
Is there anything in your childhood that propelled you for where you are today?
Yes. I have this uncle.
Okay.
He's still alive.
Okay.
One day he asked me, Zainab, when are you getting married? I was 15 plus, and he looked, and when I get married, I was like, after my university, I'll get married. And he said, you'll get pregnant, and you will not go to school. And I was like, me. So from that day, I made up my mind, boys aside, my book. So until I got like 5-6 degrees,
oh my God,
that was when I slowed down. Because every day I felt like, oh no, I really need to prove him wrong.
Yes.
He said that I wasn't going to go to school. Not that I do not have the brain, I do have the brain. And I did not even get married till I achieved all. So I went into marriage, with my...
Well articulated.
Yes.
Well educated.
Yes, and and once you're educated, there are a lot of things that you can avoid. A lot of possibilities, and that exposure guides you a lot. Sometimes it's not even about the school, but when you're exposed to so many things, so many activities or trials, like the one I went through, during the 2019, those trials have exposed me to a lot of things. There are some things that I wouldn't do. There are some things that I wouldn't even pay attention to. I have patience, and I feel like I can do anything because I got that preparation, along the line. So, and that my uncle is still alive, and he's so ashamed of himself. He can't come near me.
Wow.
I hope his daughters are educated.
Well, not like me.
Okay.
But I'm sure they are.
Honorable Zainab Buba Galadima, thank you for coming on to the program.
Thank you for having me.
It's a wrap on Women Achievers, and we've been talking to Honorable Zainab Buba Galadima. And you can see that the apple did not fall far from the tree. She's truly the daughter of Buba Galadima. My name is Mayowa Oluwabi. Thank you for watching. God bless Nigeria, and God bless Nigerian women.